Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Hemal Nayak and today I'm going to present our review paper which introduces applications of virtual environments for non-human animals for the first time to the VR community. For my friends in the audience who are not sure what I'm talking about, have a look at this video. Technologies like these are developed from almost last 20 years. Such applications are used in study of animal behavior, cognition, vision, with insects, mice, and more recently, also with fish. Such applications are developed by tweaking the very same algorithms and equipment produced for creating human VR experience. However, even after 2 decades of strong work, interaction between VR community and the biologists is rather minimal. The main motivation of this review paper is to fill in this void and increase the interaction between these two communities, because there are clear advantages for both to work together. Just to give you a broad sense of how huge this community is, we had to dig in to more than 35 different journals in biology to compile this review, which span from neurology, medicine, psychology, ecology, and many other topics. Therefore, this presentation will take a slightly different angle than the paper, and it will be more geared towards advantages of investing in these technologies. We study animals and their behavior for various fields of fundamental research. As it is shown in the slides here, each animal more or less shows this mechanism where it obtains information from its sensory organs, passes it on to a nervous system, and then reacts based on the information from the sensory organ and shows a behavior pattern. When we study behavior patterns, then we study this basic mechanism individually in different parts for sensory organs, nervous system, or behavior, or the whole system together as one. The findings of these studies are rather not limited to just the field of fundamental research, but often these findings are used in applied research, for example in engineering or robotics to make autonomous robots or bio-inspired robots, and many other different kind of applications. Studying behavior requires reliable and repeatable observations. These observations are hard to make in natural surroundings with natural stimuli. Therefore, one popular method is artificial stimulation. There are different kinds of artificial stimulation: haptic, visual, olfactory, and audio. But for sake of this presentation and maintaining relevance to the community, we will stick to the visual stimuli. Biologists have used 4 different kinds of stimuli to study animals. In earlier stages, they used static stimuli, which were basically models or images which were shown to the animal, and the reaction was observed. One other type of stimuli is abstract stimuli, where the idea was to show minimum amount of features, such as points, lines, and then try to see how the animals would react to that. The third kind of stimuli used was video stimuli, in which biologists use technologies such as LCD screens, cameras, and speakers to show the animals recordings of another animals doing a certain behavior. As the technology improved for animation, graphic cards, and other kind of designs, scientists started exploring new ways of showing stimuli. One of the major advantage was that one could customize any kind of stimuli one would want and then show different kind of animated figures or different kind of features to the animals, which would not be possible otherwise. Here in the video you can see that the fish is attacking a virtual prey which is projected on the screen of the fish tank using a simple projector. While such methods were important and interesting, they had major limitation that they were not interactive. That meant that the animals would not get feedback from the stimuli, and this would limit the study. So the scientists came up with the idea of developing interactive stimuli, which would be in closed loop. Back in the 90s, there was no tracking technology or display technology evolved to show interactive experiments. In that case, scientists designed a simple method where they connected the animal to a torque motor, which would in turn be connected to a rotating cylinder. And when the animal moved, because of the movement, the cylinder moved, and this way they could provide some kind of feedback or a closed loop mechanism for studying different kind of navigation and flying pattern based experiments. Around the same time, the VR community had already developed interactive experiments in a cave setup where a human could go inside and then see the visualizations changing around him as and when he moved the perspective. Inspired from the cave VR system, biologists built the first VR system for insects. The insects were tethered to one location to restrict its movement, and the movement was measured by a photodiode array. It was shown that the insects could well navigate in virtual spaces, and this opened completely new possibilities of studying behaviors like navigation, decision-making, and even memory. Such experiments were not possible with open-loop setups before. After this breakthrough, different types of setups were invented for circumventing the tracking problem. Here you can see the spherical treadmill. It was required to fix the animal on one spot, which was considered a limitation. However, this turned out to be boon for neurology experiments, where the animal was fixed at one spot and electrodes were inserted into the brain to get various neural responses while they performed different kind of behaviors. These experiments were not limited to studying insects, but soon they were extended to study mammals, like mice and rats. However, the tethering and treadmill-based approaches were restricting the animal's free movement, and therefore there was a need for creating a virtual environment for freely moving animals. One of the first such environments was created from Straw Lab, where they introduced a 3D tracking system for freely moving flies and successfully displayed that flies would avoid virtual obstacles when freely moving in a 3D environment. With the help of multi-camera 3D tracking, now it is possible to track other animals and extend this freely moving virtual environment to fishes and other terrestrial insects as well as mice and rats. The virtual reality system with fish is truly unique because while the fish is tracked, the perspective is also maintained, and therefore the fish can truly navigate in a virtual environment. Not only does it interact in a game engine, but also we can see that the fish interacts with a virtual fish. After learning that animals do interact with virtual animals, now scientists at Center of Advanced Collective Behavior Studies in Constance are trying a novel idea. They've connected multiple such setups together in order to create a fish matrix where multiple fishes interact with each other through the virtual environment. And this is truly exciting because now we don't have to create virtual animals which interact with real animals, but we can have real animals interacting with each other in virtual spaces. Scientists from robotics community have started working with biologists since last 2 decades to create interactive robots. And now such experiments with multiple animals will give them new insights into socially behaving animals, which would lead further to create new kind of setups for socially behaving robots or multi-agent artificial intelligence. Let us have a look at some examples.
University scientists now have devised a swarm of 1,000 tiny robots that can work together without any guiding central intelligence. This is the largest team so far of self-organizing mobile robots. Working together, these robots can assemble themselves into stars, letters of the alphabet, and other complex designs. The researchers at Harvard's Weiss Institute for Biologically Inspired Engineering reported their work Thursday in Science. It is the latest innovation in the science of swarms. Swarm scientists are inspired by nature's team players, social insects like bees, ants, and termites.
Here's another example which shows that learning from insects allows us to make better machines which are more efficient and intelligent in terms of communicating with each other autonomously. Creating new kind of experiments require new kind of tracking methods. Researchers in computer vision community have also started contributing to animal behavior experiments by developing new methods for 2D and 3D tracking of not only insects but also large animals like big mammals and birds. We believe that contribution from experts in the VR community is required to push this field further. So now the question is, why should the VR community collaborate to these kind of research efforts? Well, the first reason is that animal VR, while it's sophisticated, it still lacks a lot of features, and especially in terms of development of technology. This gap can be solved by active contribution from researchers in the VR community to derive new kind of methods and create completely new kind of experiences to test different kind of scenarios. There are better ideas required for not only understanding social behavior, but also introducing new concepts like mixed reality and augmented reality. Moreover, this kind of research will put VR community in touch with a completely new community of biologists, neurologists, and other behaviors researchers which were not connected before, and this would only increase the reach of the VR community. Also, it is worth considering that findings from different insects and other small mammals could really help us understand human vision and cognition, and this would in turn help us creating better VR experiences for humans. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. I would like to thank you, and I'm open for questions after this video.